Okay, everybody, we tuning in for another amazing episode here on JMalcom TV, and y'all know my saying, y'all are in for a treat, man. So today we have somebody known on both sides of drag racing, both in the small tire side, the small tire no time grudge side, and a newcomer and making noise on the big wheel side as well. He's known as Josh, but they know him in his hometown as Young Gun in the small tire side, and here he's gained a newfound name and fame on the big rim side, known as Lucky. So I'd like to bring on Josh, aka Young Gun and Lucky, to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, Jay. I'm good.
Man, good to have you on the show, man.
I appreciate you bringing me on.
Most definitely, man. So, man, you know, I want to get straight into it. I know you're one of the individuals where you're known on the small tire side, and now you're gaining this steam on the big wheel side and stuff too. But for the people that don't know you, I like to start from the beginning and let them get a grasp on who you are and stuff. So let me ask you this: what was your childhood like growing up?
Childhood. Well, first of all, I'm from Alabama, a small town called Andalusia.
Okay.
That's where my mom is from. I would say I was born in '86. She transitioned right out of high school. Her husband at the time, which is my brother father, he was in the military. They ended up going to Homestead Air Force Base. That's what brought me to Miami-Dade County,
Gotcha.
Homestead.
So what age at the time, you know, when you got to Homestead?
Well, I was conceived in Homestead.
Oh, in Homestead, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My mom and my brother father at the time was obviously going through a few things, and
Right.
which brought my father in the picture. After she conceived me, they chose to or she chose to have me back in Alabama. And
Okay.
she gave birth to me in Alabama, which is why I'm born in Alabama. After that, I stayed there probably 3 or 4 years maybe. And right before Hurricane Andrew, everybody from down south know about Hurricane Andrew.
Yeah, most definitely.
I went home right before Hurricane Andrew, and then as Andrew was approaching, she wanted to rush us to safety, which is back in Alabama.
Gotcha.
So I went back to Alabama, and I stayed there maybe a year or two after Andrew, and they kind of got down south back together, and she came back and got me and my brother.
Gotcha.
So the majority of my life, I pretty much stayed in South Florida.
Right.
I went to Kelmer Drive Elementary, Kelmer Drive Middle, Homestead Senior High. So the majority of my life I spent in Homestead, Florida.
Gotcha. So growing up, I mean, what was it? When did you come into getting into cars and things of that nature? Cause I know you've been drag racing for quite some time now. So when did that come about? Like how early?
So my mom remarried. I'm not sure how old. I would say I was about 8 or 9. Billy Harvey, and he had a race car.
Right.
He had a split bumper Camaro.
Yeah.
And him doing his thing with racing, he was a drag racer. And of course, me being a kid, intrigued, curious, just going outside, making the noises in the car, vroom.
Yeah.
What I mean? Doing those type of things.
Yeah.
And just insinuating that I'm in a race car, driving, doing my own thing. And as I got a little older, he started taking me with him.
Okay.
So once upon a time, it was, hey, son, you come, can't get out the truck. This when he was street racing.
Gotcha.
Don't get out the truck though. Obviously, we all know what comes along with street.
Yeah.
So that sparked my interest. That's how I kind of like just curious and intrigued to get into racing was through him.
So going to street races, you attended street races before you even went to your first drag strip.
Far as I can remember, yeah, for sure.
God almighty.
Yeah, we was in the streets a lot. Him and his best friend, Mr. Conley, they used to do a lot of street racing and come over there to talk their trash, and it'll be, man, let's go do it. every
Really?
day on the hour. If they want to go race, they'll go race.
Really? Really?
And he would let me go with him, and I had to be in the truck, obviously, at that time because I was much younger. And whenever he would leave, I go out there and I get in the car and I put it in neutral and let it roll back a little bit. And from there, it sparked from there. So Bill was really my key to drag racing for sure.
Really? And where at the time, hear you say you were younger. Like, what we talking? We talking middle school or?
Yeah, I was definitely at that time just being conscious. I would say I was like in middle school for sure.
Man, early.
Late elementary, going into middle school. Yeah, he was
early.
he as far as I can remember, he's always had something fast.
Right.
Whether if it was a Corvette, he was one of the first that I can remember with a Corvette, and then the Camaro came along, and that was the one that made the most noise, and that was the one that was the most intriguing. So
Yeah, the split bumper.
right.
Gotcha. So now you in late elementary, middle school, going to these street racing and stuff, getting bit by the bug at the time.
Right.
So now in high school, what was high school? Your high school like? Since you done got in the cars and stuff, now what was that like?
High school. So I got my first car. I want to say in the 8th, going into the 9th grade.
Oh, you got one early.
Yeah. So I kind of was spoiled. I was a silver spoon kid. You know what I mean?
Right,
We didn't
right.
grow up wanting or needing for nothing. You know what I mean?
that's
Between
good,
Bill and my
man.
mama, they always made it happen. We had pretty much everything that we ever wanted or desired. But I got my first car. My mom bought my first car. It was a box Chevy,
Oh man,
a '89 box Chevy, and paid $800 for it.
Can't catch that these days.
$800 from a guy named Duck, and but when we actually purchased it, my mom gave him a check. She didn't want to give him cash. She gave him a check.
Right.
And this is no exaggeration. I probably made it 4 miles away from giving him that check, and the motor started knocking.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
so my mom had a sour taste for old cars from that day forward. She ain't never want me to have no old car, but that was something that I wanted, and she always would make it happen for me. So after that, I ended up getting a little Saturn because that was more practical.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
it was new or newer, should I say? And 9th grade, man, I used to go pick my best friend Floyd up and go to school with a stick shift. And we just bang it out, going to school and having fun, kicking it like kids do.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, so that was my second car, and I always desired a Monte Carlo.
Really?
I always had that. I remember a friend of mine growing up. He was a little older than me, named Ben West. He had a Monte Carlo, and I used to say a car looked like a Batman car. It was a black one.
Yeah.
'87. I said, man, like a Batman car, man. I want one of them. So from then, that was like my end of my 9th grade year, 10th grade year, seeing it, and that was my dream car.
Monte Carlo.
Through Ben West. Ben West had a 86 Monte Carlo, 87 Monte Carlo. It was black at the time when he got it, and I remember seeing it saying it was a Batman car. I didn't know what kind of car it was. Just called it a Batman car. Yep.
Gotcha. So you've been one of them from
since
the
high school,
jump.
man, from the beginning.
Man, that's amazing.
Box Chevys was the thing, obviously. You know what I mean? That was kind of like the most practical starter car.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the Monte Carlo through Ben West for sure.
Amazing. So now you got this box Chevy, you got this Saturn, you in high school, and you going along. So as far I like to ask this too, because I know you're older now.
Right.
You older than back then, obviously, and stuff, and your mind changes and stuff like that. So during your high school or in between time transitioning, did trouble ever find you? Because I always ask this, and I ask when people get to this part of their timeline, because that same thing with me when I was in high school. That's when trouble started finding.
Right.
Yeah, trouble started finding
yourself.
me. Yeah, basically, you're intrigued
sure.
by things that shouldn't be intrigued by and stuff. So now that you're here in high school, like, did trouble ever find you, or and if it did, like,
just like everybody else, man. I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. I wasn't failing. I wasn't an illiterate kid.
Right.
I just simply wanted to do things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be grown, so to speak, and start hanging with some of the older guys. I've always been attracted to older people for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right,
Just
right.
because they was more mature. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
They
most
had a
definitely.
sense of direction or whatever it may be. And also in street racing, drag racing. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
So
Yeah.
and everybody know what comes with that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I dropped out of school in the 10th grade. Just to kind of fast forward a little bit. I dropped out of school. So now I'm involved in the streets a little bit more actively.
Gotcha.
My mom had divorced, so my mom was too busy working. My mama always worked, sometimes 2 jobs, and if she worked 1 job, it was like 2 jobs.
Gotcha.
But I got into the streets a little bit, and my mom was too busy to kind of keep her hands on me for the most part, because she worried about making sure we got everything that we need to have as
Gotcha.
young kids and young adults. My brother went off to college, so now I don't have that father figure or that overseer to kind of keep their hands on me. My mom had divorced at that time, so it's mama going to work, my brother going to school, and it's just me. You know what I mean?
So I don't mean to pause you, but so you saying your brother, your older brother, he served as that father figure for you during this, this transition.
Yeah, so
period
at that time, I would say a father figure, but more of a just a big brother,
guidance and stuff.
Yeah, because my mom made sure we had, so he didn't have to be the man, quote unquote. He was the man because it wasn't no man.
Gotcha.
More of a guidance. Josh, don't do that. I was kind of always hard headed. You know what I mean? I always want to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, and I was real loud with my stuff. And my mama would always had to keep her eyes on me and not watch my brother.
Nah,
So
he had it figured out.
yeah, he was. I was loud, so yeah, the attention was always on me.
Gotcha.
And he did well. He finished school, went to college, played ball. He was a really good athlete. Growing up, and he made it easy for me even getting into school, going in high school. I didn't even have a grade point average to play ball in high school, but because of my brother, who he was, literally, how he walked up in there, and this is my little brother, and I had a grade point average.
That's
and
amazing.
now I was able to play football.
Right.
And like I said, he went off to college, and because he went off to college, now it's just me, my mama working. Now I'm able to make grown man decisions, so to speak. You know what I mean? I was never disruptive or disrespectful, so to speak. I'm gonna just say that.
Right.
So I always respected people. You know what I mean? So my mom didn't even know when I stopped going to school. She didn't know I wasn't going to school.
Oh, she didn't have a clue.
No, because my mom was getting up before I got up to go to school. She going to work.
Yeah.
She come home after I done got home. You know what I mean? So she didn't even know.
School technically over.
Right. So she had no clue that I was even dropping out of school. When she realized what was going on, at that point I was gone.
Yeah, too far gone.
And she at that point it was just more or less all right, you gonna do something though. You know what I mean? You're not just gonna drop out and not do anything.
Right.
And I started working. I had a construction job with a guy named Paul. And man, I was actually 16, 17 years old, man, running a crew of about 15, 20 guys.
That's amazing.
And I've always had that entrepreneurship or leadership attitude, growing up. And that's how that kind of unfolded. And it was soon after that. Now I'm smelling myself because I'm making a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Doing my own thing. But I wasn't making enough money to do what the adults are doing.
Right.
They wanted to go change the big wheels.
So you had got into that stuff at this time. And
that was more like that's that later part of like 18, 19. I would say 18, 19, because I used to gamble a lot.
Right.
I gambled as a kid too, all the time, whether if it was dice or betting on a football game, basketball game. I was a hard gambler.
Yeah.
And still kind of struggle with that to the day. But nowhere as near as how it was before. Which is how I ended up running into trouble. Gambling. I ended up losing a lot of money one night and going home flat broke.
Oh man.
And I made a couple bad decisions based on like impulse. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And now I'm gonna take something. That's how it started. So it started out with just small things, and then it led to bigger things. And now here it is. I'm robbing people. Gotcha. Taking what they had done work hard for. And ultimately that's what sent me to prison. I went to prison for armed robbery.
Right.
I was 19 years old when I got locked up, 20 years old when I went to prison. Got out when I was 25.
Yeah. So this kind of between dropping out, it's like it went rapid fire.
It did.
Like it sped up.
It was a domino effect, and it happened real fast because again, at 15 years old, 15, 16 years old, now I'm hanging around guys that's 30.
Oh yeah.
And of course they didn't live them 15 extra years, and I'm looking at them feeling like I should be or have what they got. And I'm trying to keep up. I didn't have nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like literally, for real. I had old Raglan Monte Carlo, you know what I mean, with an old 350 in it and a 373 gear, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to get a posi unit now. You know what I mean? So from a posi unit, I'm trying to get some headers and exhaust, and it was just like I said, it was just a never ending want, if so to speak.
So during this time, did you have any, you're hanging around these older guys that got 15, maybe 20 years on you. During this time, did you have anybody reach out and say, hold on, young man, you need to stop what you're doing, or did anybody even know?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. I had some positive mentors in my life all the time.
Right.
I didn't have nobody to actually guide me, so to speak, because I was smart enough to know like it wasn't nothing that I wanted to boast or brag about.
Gotcha.
This wasn't nothing to talk about. So whatever I did, I always did in the dark.
Gotcha.
So a lot of people had no clue when I got arrested. They was like, he did what?
They were shocked.
You know what I mean? Because I still maintain the job. You know what I mean? I would work on cars. You know what I'm saying? Right. Some people would know just based on like people that I hung around, places that I would be. Yeah. Like that's trouble. Yeah. You know what I mean?
The crowd, the right. Company you kept.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that ain't nothing good gonna come out of that. You know what I mean? Definitely. So, and I was never, like I said, I was never one of them kids. Like I wasn't fighting as a kid all the time. I wasn't the one that was getting caught stealing and all that stuff. Like, so it wasn't like I was so much of a troubled kid. You know what I mean? I just found my way getting in trouble, and I got away with a lot of it. Probably most of it. You know, if anything.
And that's what keep you going.
Right now.
No, I'm saying, when you're in that moment.
Oh yeah, for sure. When you get away with something,
if you get away, I'm gonna try something bigger.
Absolutely. When you get away with something, you realize, and that's what fed my gambling habit. Because I would say, man, shoot, I lose $1,500, man, I'm gonna go get me $1,500 back.
Yeah.
So it was always like it was gonna be easy. And like I said, when you get away with something for so long, it becomes second nature in a sense. You know what I mean? You start feeling like, all right, I'm gonna get away with this again.
You're invincible.
Or all right, we got to do this a little bit bigger.
Yep.
Or let's try this now. You know, and if you never getting caught, or if you never getting, you know what I'm saying, put in a situation where you even have to think about consequences, then you don't even realize it. Before you know it, you done blacked out.
Most definitely.
And that's what happened to me for sure.
So during this time, ultimately what led to you being caught, and then having to go sit down for a second and reflect, and what was your thought process while you were sitting down? Like what changed?
When I got on the charge that sent me to prison, when I got caught, I'll never forget sitting in the holding cell, and one of the guys that was obviously locked up with me, he asked me what I was up in there for. And when I told him my charges, he say, "Oh, you in it with the big dogs." I'm still not thinking, you know what I mean? Not understanding.
It ain't registered.
Right. And then when he said, "Yeah, man, those charges, them punishable by life charges." Like, what?
It hit you.
Absolutely. That was the moment. And at that time, when I got locked up, nobody even knew I was locked up.
Wow.
For a while. The girl I was dating at the time was obviously looking around for me, but I would be gone. I'd come home one day, and if I won, I put the money on the dresser. If I lost, I'd say, "Baby, I had a bad weekend or a bad day."
Yeah.
And she would, the next morning I wake up, man, she might have 500, say, "Go get them, Tiger." You know what I mean? That type of deal. So not supporting bad habits, because she didn't know what I was doing for the most part. At the time, Madden was the big thing. I was playing Madden a lot for a lot of money. I used to gamble on the game. So she probably would think I was just out there playing a video game for some money. Yeah, not knowing that I might be in a dice house, you know what I mean? Gambling, just doing everything but the right thing.
Right.
And when I was, like I said, when I was locked up, nobody knew. And The only person I would always call was my oldest brother, Jamie. I call him. I ain't even call him because I knew I was like,
You was
boy.
gonna get it.
But when they hear about this, boy, it's gonna be bad. Boy.
Yeah.
And it's still not sinking in how bad it was. This random guy that was locked up with me kind of gave me, you know what I'm saying, like a preview, but still not.
Yeah.
It still hadn't hit me yet, like how severe it was.
Right.
And finally, I can't remember whether if it was the girl I was dating at the time or my brother that found out I was locked up or what have you. I can't remember how it came to a head, but I ain't called home. I wasn't finna. I couldn't call my mama knowing that she done broke her back, and now here it is. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
This is total opposite of the principles and morals that she done instilled in me.
Yeah.
So, I remember getting a visitation, and it was my brother and my mama. They came to see me, and I remember the screen came on at the time because it wasn't no face to face. Screen came on, it was them behind the screen. And as soon as the screen came on, my mama bust out crying.
I bet it hit then.
Yeah, that's when it started to sink in. Like, not, you know, and I've always been a selfish individual growing up. I always thought about me, what I wanted, how I wanted. Let's get it.
Yeah.
And if it could benefit you, as long as I got me, then we cool.
Yeah.
But as long as it benefited me, it had to work for me.
Gotcha.
And that's when I realized that in that moment, like, I'm hurting other people too. My mama specifically, though. You know what I mean? Right. That's always been my backbone, my anchor. So when seeing her break down, that's when it kind of hit me kind of hard. Like, man, you're making a lot of poor decisions, not just affecting yourself, but the people that love you the most.
Most definitely. Definitely. And you know, hearing you say that, and you talking to this guy in his holding cell, obviously not knowing the consequences of your actions. Like how serious the consequences are. How did that affect you? You think that would have affected you if you knew, like, hey man, this put you away forever?
Absolutely.
Do you think you would have moved differently?
I always say now. I remember growing up, they always say think before you speak.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know that was saying. So now it's like, how this gonna affect you? And at worst, how can it affect you? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people may do something and don't, or I'm gonna just use me. A lot of times I was doing things and not realizing the consequences, not looking at how and who it's gonna affect, not just myself. Because I think the fact that it affected the people that love me the most, that's probably what weighed the most on me, and also myself. Then you look at yourself like, look, here you are. Look where you at now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Now you up in here and somebody else telling you what to do, and you only. And I was always real bullhead, strong headed, whatever you want to call it, stubborn. Yeah. I hated being told what to do.
Yeah,
I hated that. So, but incarceration, boy, you had to learn fast, boy. Florida State Prison do not play.
Yeah,
and So they got me in line real quick when it came to that part of my life, discipline and understanding authority. You know what I mean? Structure and
most definitely.
Just all the little small things of life that we always take for granted, day in and day out. You know what I mean? And so for sure, it hit home with seeing my mom, my brother, and other family members. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, and then just like saying like this ain't what I want. You know, it ain't worth that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I like certain things that I possibly could have obtained at the moment, but kind of like you could also get this. So don't forget about that.
It's a give and a take.
Right. Yeah. So, and it ain't worth that. That's for sure. That's what and that's what I would tell people all the time. Just more so, think about the consequences. You know what I mean? Think about how it's going to affect you and the people around you.
Oh yeah.
And that alone will maybe, I feel like when people think about that, I think that would change your choice, or you would choose right if you think further ahead. Because a lot of times people just don't think. They just impulsive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They're absolutely true. Like you said, think further ahead. That's the thing. Instead of looking 2 feet in front of you,
right?
You know, knowing what can come behind this and where you're going as well. So now you know you're incarcerated and you do your time, which you said you did 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. So you come out and you're 23, about to be 23, 22.
No, so I I went to jail at 19. I got
You got
sentenced when I was
at
20.
so you're 24.
I'm 24, getting ready to turn 25.
25. Okay,
Right,
so
I got out in July 14th, and my birthday is October. So yeah.
Okay, so now you get out. You get out. Now, what's your plan? Like, what happens after this?
So when I get out, my mom at that time had remarried to the same guy that she had divorced at the time, had a divorce from.
Right.
And she's staying with him. She got a house. And she says, all right, basically this your house. I had a little car at the time. And I got my CDLs. Well, I did CDL schooling while I was incarcerated. So when I came home, all I had to do was a drive test. So I'm moving forward with just trying to work, doing the right thing, trying to do the right thing because I just came home from prison and everything wasn't like, now I'm behind because I done lost them 4 years.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everything now. Like, all right,
More
you
grateful.
you see you could lose everything and you could really be behind a black ball. But so I'm driving. I couldn't get the job that I wanted because I didn't have CDLs long enough for one. I think I wanted to work for Coca-Cola if I ain't mistaken, but I didn't have CDLs long enough. And everybody kept, and prior to that, again, what you do today, my mom used to always say this, what you do today gonna affect your tomorrow. And prior to that, and when I was younger, got speeding tickets, you know what I'm saying, driving no license, all the regular stuff that kids have, the kids go through. Troubled kids, I'm gonna say that because all of them don't go through it. But I was looking for a job, tried to get Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola denied me, and I was limited on what I could do. And I ended up getting a job for this dude named Jason, for Jason Subdics. So I was driving a pump truck, you know what I'm saying, getting grease traps and septic tanks. So it wasn't ideal, but it was paying the bills. And I remember one specific week. I remember I worked up. If I had to guess, I'd say about 70 hours this week. And I remember saying, man, at this time now I'm ready. I'm trying to get me another little hoop. I'm trying to get me another car. I'm like, man, I'm finna save this week. And I'm finna get me another car, what have you. I got the check, Jay. And when I looked at the check, it brought tears in my eye. I said, ain't no way. I done worked this hard for this. And I was like, this ain't gonna do it. This ain't gonna do it. And at that moment, I kind of had that, well, not kind of, I made my mind up that I was like, man, I'm finna get back in the streets.
Going right back.
Yeah, I'm finna get back in the streets.
Yeah.
And I had made a phone call to one of the guys I know, and I asked him to help me out, quote unquote. And he said, man, he insisted that I wouldn't. He kept telling me, say, nah, man, I think you should just stay the course. And I was like, bro, this ain't gonna work. Ain't no way I'm gonna get nowhere like this. And he said, but I can't tell you no. And I said, all right, I'm coming to see you. Right. And he lived a couple hours away from me, and I went to go see him. And he straightened me out. Got home. It's late. I'm gonna say it's after midnight for sure. And my brother called me. When my brother called me, I answered the phone. He like, what's going on? I said, I ain't doing much of nothing. He was like, man, you wanna come to work with me? I'm like, what? Now at this time, he hadn't been in the industry. Probably because he had started while I was incarcerated. So I hadn't been home. So I would say he hadn't been in the industry about 4 or 5 years.
And what industry?
The oil industry.
The oil. Okay.
Yeah. So he worked nuclear refinery, oil, gas, all over the country. And I remember him talking about his checks. Like, I made this, I made that. But at that time, I was still on probation.
Oh, okay. You couldn't move around.
I still couldn't move the way I wanted to move. So I was like, when he said that, I say, man, I'm on probation, man. He say, man, these folks up here they ain't doing no background check.
Right.
This your shot. And I say, man, if you can get it, let's ride. He say, man, pack your bags, you can fly out tomorrow. Oh, that's when I was like, oh, you for real? I was like, yeah. So I had to make that phone call to my boy, hey, but I just got another job. And he was like, all right, you know what I mean? If you want to work, let's make it happen. And cleaned that up with him, and I flew out that next morning. Yeah, I flew out that next morning, and I start. That's how I got into the industry I'm in right now, doing heat stress, and it's been up since then.
Your brother came to the rescue.
Brother's keeper for sure,
man.
And he's been like that all my life, and I've always I ain't gonna say despised him or, because he was like, I felt like the favorite kid.
Oh yeah.
And that was just more so because he was quiet. You know what I mean?
Right.
He ain't never make no noise, doing no wrong. Never got caught doing any wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm always on the radar. I'm the loud one. You know what I mean? So everybody watching me. So my mama stayed paying attention to me the whole time. Where if he did something wrong, it got swept under the carpet.
So it was just that typical childhood jealousy.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Siblings go through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. So now you don't got in this oil refining industry and stuff. Now you say things start going up. So during this time you getting your life together, when did you transition and get back in this hot rod and like, you know what? I'm ready to make this happen.
So prior to well, I would say during that time, because it was around that same time, a guy named Carnell Seymour, he always been a part. He's been around for a while and had a part in my life for the most part. And when I went to prison, I would talk to him. He was like, man, when you come home, I'm building a car for you. And he's the one that actually gave me the name Young Gun. That's how the Young Gun stuck to me, because he had another guy that was driving for him. And he was like, man, I'm going to trick these jokers. He said, you scared of the car? I said, no, I ain't scared of the car. He said, all right, well, and like I say, this, matter of fact, I'm sorry, got to go back. This was before I went to prison.
Oh, so you was already?
Yeah, I've been driving pretty much all my life, but.
So you said before you went to prison, so you was 18, 19, and somewhere up in there driving hot rods and race cars already?
Yeah, for sure. We was already, at that time, so I kind of got ahead of myself. In those years, we were street racing a lot. We was doing a lot of street racing. It was track going on, but for us, it was more street racing.
Gotcha.
And I had a friend of mine named Omar. I used to drive his car a lot. That's how the rivalry with me and Primo started. Eddie. Primo,
yeah, I know he's known on the big wheel scene too as well.
Prior to both of us going off.
Yeah.
My friend Omar had a car and I would drive. Everybody thought that car was my car. I used to take care. I would take it home with me.
Now, what kind of car was this?
It was a Buick Regal.
Buick Regal, okay.
It was a Buick Regal with a 383 in it.
Gotcha.
And I towed that one up and we ended up putting a 355 in, and it ran faster than the 383.
Oh man.
Yeah. So like I said, that specific car is what kind of propelled me out there with Omar. Right. And Seymour got a whiff of it, seen it, and he was dealing with another guy that used to drive for him, and he asked me, he said, man, if you ain't scared of it, man, I want you to drive for me, because he had one driver, he felt like that he ain't handling him right. I'm gonna just say it like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I'm gonna trick him. I'm gonna come out. You gonna come out there, man? I want you to put a paper bag over your head. I'm gonna shock the world when they see you in the car.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of got into that. It was Omar and Seymour is what actually put me in the spotlight, so to speak, because I had some old raggedy cars with no rear ends, no gear converter. You know what I mean? Still putting stuff together, just off scraps, whatever I could find, I was using. So their cars were more actual, built cars that was done the right way, and they let me pilot them cars, and that's what put me on, as far as a small tie in the streets down, in Miami and Florida.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, right after that, like I said, let me bring it back up to I got out of prison. He had that same car that he gave me the opportunity with. He had built another motor. At this time, now he's at the track.
So so while you was incarcerated, he's transitioned from the street to the track.
Right.
And this car was what kind of car?
The Aero Coupe.
The Aero Coupe. And see, that's when I met you. I remember the Aero Coupe.
Mm-hmm. So before that, it was a street car. That one had a long rod 383 or 391, I believe it was.
Gotcha.
And it made that. Of course, like I said, that was around the same time that Eddie was doing his thing, and me and Eddie actually had a big grudge race that I lost. Because I got big headed. The guy There was another guy named Edward Porter. He was kind of like our guidance. He was the guy that was kind of like running the program, telling us what to do, what not to do.
Right.
You know, when I got in the car, he told me, he said, "Hey, whatever you do, you got to leave first." But before that, I was telling Seymour, I said, "Man, you got the faster car, man." They went out there the week before, and they went back and forth on who was gonna lead. This is when he had the other driver.
Yeah.
And I said, "Man, if I get up in there, we racing."
Right.
Well, I don't care if you lead, 'cause I'm gonna go back round.
You got you.
And it happened like that. I went back round him, but as soon as I clicked high gear, I ran out again. He went back round.
And he came on back.
He went back round. He went back round me. So that was one of my in my teenage years, because that's before I went to prison. Like I said, that was probably the biggest loss I took, because I was supposed to won that race. If I just would have listened to Porter, I would have won that race. If I'd have just left like he asked me to, because he just did. I'm talking about, he knows me out. It could have came down that we could have argued who won, but
Right.
you know, I knew he got back in front of me, and he ended up stealing that one out of my back pocket, Eddie. I owe you for that one, for sure.
So like you said, it's one of them things where you just got big headed and just overly confident, and
Yep.
you
And I struggle with that. I still struggle with that today, man. Cause sometimes when I feel good about something, can't nobody tell me that.
Right.
And it don't always be right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I pay for it a lot of times. But like I said, let's fast forward. Now I'm in Redbone. We done got Redbone to the track, and it's a race car now. It done went from a street car to a race car. And the first time I drove it, Porter told me, just hold on. He said, "Man, hold on." So I'm asking him over and over, "Man, what kind of tune-up you got in it?" He one of them old heads. He don't tell you much. You got to read between the lines. But I should have known when he said "hold on" what that meant.
Yeah.
And man, when it left, I seen the star.
So it was your first time.
Yes, it scared the life out of me for a split second. And but that was the beginning of the small tie. That's when I got into the small tie, going to the racetrack with that car with Porter. And it was Seymour car, but Porter was kind of like helping us, you know, as far as the race side of things, because he was more knowledgeable at the time. That's who groomed us. Yeah.
So now, you know, and I was going to ask that question too. So was this your first track experience?
That was my first track experience for sure.
I
had never been to the track. I would go to the track, but never had been on the track. That was
so
my
your
first time operating.
driving?
Yeah, that was my first time operating in that car at the track.
So was this your first time just any time driving a car on the track?
Yeah, that was my first time on the track.
And you went to the store.
Yeah, he sent me to the moon. Yeah, he sent me to the moon.
Man.
I think he purposely did that for real, to kind of like get me to
bring it down.
Not so much, but listen to him.
Yeah.
Because he had a way, you know, older people always got a way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And in his day way for sure. Even Simo, man, me and Simo used to always kind of like butt heads because it had to be his way. You know what I mean? And that was I think that was his way of saying, like, because I always walked with a lot of confidence when it came to the racing part. I mean, when it came to, I mean, I'll talk to you any kind of way, man. What, I wish you would say something to me about racing. You got to show me.
Yeah.
So I think it was more of his way of trying to groom me to be more humble. You know what I mean? Listen more, not be so arrogant. You know what I mean? Those things, and showing me that as much as I think I know, I don't know it all. So that was one of them things. Like, let's see if you really that bad person you think you is.
Yeah.
Let me see. And I ain't know about throttle checking at that time. You know what I mean? My first time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it sent me to the moon. Sent me to the moon, and it scared me.
Yeah. Yeah, so you ain't have to change your underwear after that, did you?
Nah, not physically, but mentally for sure.
Yeah. I say,
sure.
man, that first time, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Going skyborne, boy, ain't nothing like it.
Especially like I say, I was dealing with cars at that time that was making 400 horsepower.
Oh yeah, so this
on
big.
the street. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that's going with that glue and some real power. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna show you some things. You know what I mean?
Different ball game.
Right. So I think that's why I say when I look back on it now, that was him teaching me a lesson. You know what I mean? Like, as much as you think you know, you still don't know. As much as you think you got it, you don't got it. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
Yes, I think that was him humbling me in a sense. Yeah, for sure.
So he got you in his car. You know, you done went for this wild ride, but I know eventually you get a handle on things and all of that. So take us through that, like with this car, because I know I know you did a lot of racing in that car.
With that car, man, that car we went on a little run with that car. I'm gonna say let's see how long. All the way up until 2000. So 2012 I came home. I started really racing with that car about 2013, 14. And all the way up until 2019, I believe, with that car. And man, we would travel. We would go. We started at we traveled locally. The Immokalees, the Bradentons, the Orlando, Palm Beach. Yeah. We kind of stayed right there in that little nesting area. And I remember him saying, because at this point now it's kind of hard for us to get a race that. Now we got to race Mustangs. We was having to race, kind of outclassed us at that time.
Right.
And he was like, man, we got to travel some more. We got to go on the road. And that's how I ended up coming to Georgia.
Gotcha.
I think swine flu race. I think it was swine flu.
Yeah, swine flu by the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and we came up here that weekend, and at that time, that's when transition from slicks to radials was coming in.
Yeah.
The radio ties had to start making it. So we come up here, we still on the drag. I mean, we on a slick. Everybody looking at the car, they like, well, what you doing with that? You know what I mean? What you finna do with those? And we on radio prep. We don't know no better. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Back at home, we still on slicks. You know what I mean? And Quick. What's the guy name that owned the track?
It was David Floyd at the time.
David Floyd, yeah.
Shout out to David Floyd.
Them two, when I tell you those are two gentlemen, and that's what that showed us the different side of racing. Because back at home, man, it was always a hush thing. Boy, if you did something wrong, nobody ain't tell you. You had to figure it out.
Figure it out yourself.
You know what I mean? And I remember Quick came up to us and he was just like, man, why y'all ain't got a set of radios on this thing, man? This thing will fly if y'all have some radios on it. What is a radio? You know what I mean? Nah, you got no radio up in here, man. It's a race car. Like, nah, I set a radio. You point at the tires, and I'm looking at it. Now I see the difference in them. You know, I'm like, man. Look at Seymour, and then the dude, Mr. Floyd, came over there and he offered us a set of radios. He said he had a set that he was willing to give us to try it out.
Yeah.
And but at that time, we was testing because we was supposed to run Boney. They had the car called Silence.
Yep.
That's the name of it. And I was like, man, let's see if we can get this figured out, man. Forget that. We ain't finna make no change like that. Let's get this figured out. And Quick told us, he said, you gotta put some air pressure in that, man. That's the only way it's gonna work. And we was coming off the trailer the next day.
Oh man.
So I say, man, let's see if it work. We here now. Let's
try it.
Fast as we ever went.
Oh yeah.
Fast as we ever went.
Most definitely.
And now when I seen the ticket, well, let's get it.
Yeah,
what they got to show, you got to show up.
Yeah.
So the next day we come in, and Boney and them come in with Freak-a-Lot. That's the name. I think Freak-a-Lot.
Yep.
He come. We get in the stage lane. We start talking, but I could see how they were trying to bet. I was like, boy, this car, man, it don't look like much.
Yeah.
But the bet don't reflect.
Exactly.
Something ain't right.
Yeah.
And anyway, we ended up getting a little pot up, and we got out there, and I let the button go, and I could see him in my peripheral. I knew it was over with.
Yeah.
And I mean, he just checked out. He drove away from me. So that was like that's what actually brought us to Georgia. That specific race right there with swine flu.
Yep.
And he gained a relationship with Aunt Boney. Aunt Boney got the car right now. And actually this year is going to it debuted last year, the end of last year, but this year is going to be the year that it actually hit the pavement.
Oh, man.
And, you see it a lot this year, hopefully.
Man, shout out to Aunt Boney too, man. He been around. He do a lot of good work
dude.
Too. Oh yeah, shout out to Boney. So I heard you say too, y'all getting the bet together. I heard you say the bets and all of that, and I like to ask this question too, specifically to the grudge races I have on the podcast.
Sure.
But what's the biggest pot you ever ran for, and how did that affect you in the car? Cause some people, well, it's pressure. You got other people's money on the line and stuff. Some people say, hey, I still drive my same race. So what's the biggest and how
biggest pot, honestly, I don't want to disclose how big, but last week I just had a race for the main pot was 4,000, and it was probably another 3,000 on the side.
Gotcha.
but it was I don't got some healthy pots in.
Gotcha.
Some pots that'll make you pick that gun up and go try to get it back, so to speak.
So
yeah,
how
definitely.
did that affect you in the car though?
No, I have a routine. I try to have a routine with everything I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? When it comes to racing, like I built and that's something that Porter taught me. Get a routine. That way, it's just repetition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're doing something over and
rinse
over
and
again.
repeat.
Yeah, don't try to do nothing different. When you end up doing something different, that's when you have the uh-ohs and the oops.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or I shouldn't have, or those things. Find your routine, stick to your routine, and just go with your move. So the pots don't never affect me. I know certain people that do because they're more mindful and conscious of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, I've always been a gambler. So the amount don't change what I'm finna do.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You, the racer might dictate how I'm gonna attack that race, but the pot size ain't gonna change. I mean, that's not gonna change my routine. You know what I mean? Whether we're doing it for 1,000 or 10,000,
Gotcha.
my routine gonna remain the same.
Right. So you went through all this. You done ran for these big pots, and you gaining momentum in small tire and all of that. Now between this and the car going down, where were you during that time? Like when did the big wheel side of things come about?
The big wheel car come in. So Redbone went down at, I want to say in 2020 or 19. No, I'll take that back. I'll take all that back. It went down, 18 or 19. I moved to Georgia in 2020. We were still trying to get Redbone together, but at that time when I had them bought a house, my focus was on house at that point.
Not the cars.
I wasn't thinking about no car. The car was like, I ain't gonna say it was the least of my worry, but now I got a new toy. This is my new toy. It's a home. You know what I mean? I want to furnish it. I want to paint it. You know what I mean? I want to do the things that people do when they get a house. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was my new passion. So that actually drove a wedge between Seymour and myself.
Okay.
Because we had started something, which was that car, and people, for the ones that know, it ain't no, anybody that got anything to do with racing know it ain't cheap to race.
No, not at all.
And if you're gonna do it on a high level, it's
expensive.
It's a lot of money involved in it. And he had a lot of money involved in it, such as myself also. And I just couldn't afford trying to do that in this. So I had to choose one, which was the house thing. And I wanted to, this was my new thing at that moment. Right. And I think that, and I had got engaged. I had got engaged at the time.
Okay.
And so now I got a new house, a new girlfriend, a fiance, so to speak, and that was my focus. And that specifically, I would say, is what kind of drove a wedge between what we was doing with the car, and it drove a wedge between our relationship. Oh, man. So we kind of went a period of time where we was kind of like, we had it was beef, low key. You know what I mean? Yeah, but this was like a dad to me though. You know what I'm saying? So this kind of, this wasn't like me losing just a regular friend. You know what I'm saying? This is like my pops. You know what I'm saying? Literally, I'll call him pops. You know what I mean? So when that happened, it kind of hit a little different from any other relationship, like friendship, so to speak. Right. And when that happened, that's when I had already purchased Storm at the time, but I wasn't really studying it because, like I say, I was focused more on that race car and my house. You know what I mean? And now it's the house and my relationship, so to speak. And when me and him had that falling out, now I started saying, you know what, forget it. I'm going to focus on what I want to do. You know what I mean? Right. Which was the house and now Storm. That's what brought, and at the time when I started building Storm, because I had the knowledge or somewhat of the knowledge with those cars, I kind of had an idea of how to do it or what I wanted to do. Right. And he would always tell me, don't take no shortcuts. Spend your money one time. Oh yeah. Only spend it one time. Agree. So know what you want, know what you want to do, and do that. You know what I mean? Yep. So when I started building that car, I just wanted that car to be a street car, a true street car. Meaning like I could throw the keys to you and say, Jay, go to the store, and you ain't got to go up in there looking at for target switches or wondering if it's gonna run hot or
Yeah.
none of that nature. Just get in there and treat it like it's your other Monte Carlo. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was the sole purpose of building that car. That was the objective, to get that car to go as fast as I can get it to go, but still be street. Pump
Most
gas,
definitely.
AC, heater, overdrive, music. The whole nine. I wanted to have everything in one as much as possible.
Right.
So that was my goal with that, and I think I achieved it. I achieved it.
Now, during this time, you got it falling out. I heard you say like a father figure, right? So what about your biological father? Like, what is y'all relationship like? And I asked this question too because father figure, male figures in us guys, men's lives are important and stuff too. So like, what is that like for you, if you care to touch on it?
Another little short story. I was going to I want to say I was going to Illinois to go to work. Me and one of my childhood friends, named Bam, and we was riding. We was going through Tennessee, the mountains right there in the Tennessee.
Yeah.
Where the mountains right there, water. You can see the water coming down.
Yep.
And him and his dad got into an argument or some of that nature, but he was mad behind the conversation him and his father had. And he hung the phone up, and then Seymour called me. So I answered the phone. I talked to Seymour. The usual conversation, man. Like, he was a friend, like a father figure, though. You know what I mean? And when I got off the phone, I always talk on speakerphone. Anybody know me know I put my phone on my shoulder, put it on speakerphone. I don't like to hold the phone in my ear. So he heard our conversation. And when I hung up, I remember him looking over at me. He was like, man, well, I wish I had that. And I said, what you mean? He was like, man, I just wish I had that. You know what I mean? That type of relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
Like I said, Seymour wasn't my father, but he was like a father. He was an older guy, kind of groomed me, nurtured me, gave me a lot of game with everything in life, not just racing.
Gotcha.
And I always say I had the cheat code because I had 3 fathers. Most people only have one. Man. My biological father name is Emmanuel Whipple. He's deceased now.
Gotcha.
And then I say I had Seymour and Billy Harvey, which is my stepfather, who was the one that raised me. That's the one that poured in me the most. But when I did meet my father, I was like 13, I would say. 12, 13, when I started getting in trouble a little bit.
Yeah.
More trouble, I'm going to say, where it started becoming more, all right, now we got to kind of govern what's going on. He ain't just getting in trouble for talking. What I mean? He ain't getting in trouble for, what I mean? So my dad came in my life. I never forget how I got suspended from school. And my mama called me and say, your dad want to see you. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, your dad want to see you. And instinctively, I already knew who she was talking about. I had never met him at this point.
Right.
Never even had many conversations or really said much about it. You know what I mean? Kind of like I've always knew as a kid that my brother father, because I carry my brother father last name.
Okay.
So and they took me in. They always took me like, or treated me like theirs. Even still to this day, I still call them granny. My grandma on that side, my aunties.
Man, that's
what
what's
I mean?
up, man. Yeah.
They always have treated and taken me in as their own. So I treat them as such. But I met my father when I was 13, got in a little trouble, got suspended from school. And he came to the house, he knocked on the door, and I'll never forget him, like seeing Jesus, boy.
Yeah.
When I seen that man, I was like, boy, that's my daddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
oh yeah.
So that was a turning point too for me in my life a little bit because of how things were. You know what I mean? They had me outside of wedlock, basically. You know what I mean? It was like a hush thing, so to speak. You know what I mean? And but when I met him, I remember wanting more from him. I remember wanting a real father-son relationship.
Most definitely.
And because of the circumstances, and as a kid, I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? As a kid, all I knew was it's like a kid want candy. You don't know that they're gonna give you cabbage. You don't know you don't need to eat before you go to bed.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't receive it. You know what I mean? Like it was just, man, I want my daddy. You know what I mean? And then when I didn't get that after meeting him and seeing this guy like baby Jesus, so to speak, in my eyes, because
Right.
if for the people that know him, they know, well groomed. He had the charisma of a goddess. You know what I mean? Like he just was a real good person to be around. Energy was like through the roof. So I always wanted it, look for it, and after meeting him, I wasn't getting it as much as I desired. I kind of like, start to despise him a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, man, like why I can't have my dad? You know what I mean? Like. And I had good people in my corner. That's why I say, like, God don't make no mistakes. You know what I mean? For sure. And he gave me just what I needed when I needed it. You know what I mean? Whether if it was Bill, Seymour, or my biological.
So I hear you say despise him and stuff too. And I heard you say he's dead and gone. Lord rest his soul. But did you ever find in your heart to, forgive him for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything?
When I got a little older and started to understand just life itself, you know what I mean? How people can make mistakes.
Right.
How people can do some things that you can't undo. You know what I mean? I did. I accepted the fact that, the reality of the situation. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I wish things were different, it wasn't. And I accepted things for what they were. You know what I mean? And he was a good person. You know what I mean? That's just the bottom line. He was a good person. So moving forward, after I got older and I started, life happening for me, cheating on girlfriends. So now I understand, like, it wasn't just, just those little things, looking back on it, like, all right, I get it now. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm getting a little older and I'm starting to see, okay, well, a child involved here, not just two women and y'all parting ways. You know what I mean? It's an actual attachment for the rest of your life.
Most definitely.
So as I got older, I understood those things. And that's what made it a lot easier to stomach, a lot easier to forgive or move past, because I just started living life and I started having personal experiences and understand, like I say, just life itself is the best teacher. You know what I mean? So no matter how much somebody tell you, my mom always say, my mama got her favorite saying to me is, you ain't got to go through because I done been through it.
Right.
And I always tell her sometimes people still got to go through it. And she hate that. When I tell you that make her skin crawl, she don't like when I say that. But that's just something that I believe. You know what I mean? No matter how much you say or don't want or desire somebody to go through certain things, it might be just meant for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you walk your own path. At the end of the day, our paths all different. So I definitely get that. So man, you got these male figures in your life, or you pretty much you got into this race and now you built. I heard you say you built Storm too.
Right.
During the time of you falling out with Seymour, right? Seymour, you falling out with him, and now your engagement. I heard you say you was engaged. And so during this time, a wedge got driven between both of you two. Then engagement and Seymour. So now I'm guessing this is when you transition into, well, I'm gonna pour into my car, which obviously I'm guessing is an outlet for you as well. So you get this car like you want to. Now what made you decide to, like, now I want to put this on the track and try this big rim racing thing? And how was it coming to the game? It's a whole different world from a small tire.
It's a short story. But I know you done heard of Chain Gang though, right?
Yeah, Chain Gang Racing.
That's who I just raced last week at the track.
Yeah.
Long story short, I had when I built the car, I overachieved as far as power with the car than I expected.
Right.
But I knew I wanted to race in the street. So I started out street racing with the car at first. But I just couldn't get the car to work in the street. Chain Gang had them beating me up a couple times. I got a couple wins now. I don't be wanting to think, hey, don't think that y'all just own me in the street, because y'all really don't. Because we actually even. But nevertheless, I knew as a racer, all right, this ain't working. You know what I mean? Like at some point you gonna and the guys that are racing are the people that's gonna be willing to race you, got it figured out. You don't. You know what I mean? I got a couple good easy wins, and then I got a couple wins that I had to really earn. And then the rest of them that I lost was races that I know that I'm faster than them, but I wasn't faster than them, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I make more power, however you want to define it. And it was specifically Chain Gang, man. Chain Gang was like the one camp that was willing to race me at the drop of a dime. I remember literally one night they was on live. I was at home in the bed, and I was just listening to their live because they was talking trash about owning the streets or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just listening to them, let them do their thing. And they brought my name up, and they was like, "But I back Ty Lucky." Boy, you ain't gonna give me nothing.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel, boy. Anybody that's
you like a head up.
yeah, boy, you ain't gonna give me nothing. So I had to go see. So they said, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you the back tie. You come tonight, and for some decent money too."
Right.
I got out the bed and drove out there, and they gave me the back tie, and they flipped me over. Yeah, they flipped me over. They beat me so bad. At the time, I was still dating my fiance, and we got in the truck coming home, and she looked at me. She from Alabama. She say, "Baby, what the back tie mean?" Man, you talking about, man, made my stomach do a backflip, man. Oh,
so
my God.
she lightened the moment then.
Nah, she did. She made it tight.
She made it tight. Oh.
Yeah, because I ain't want to hear all that about what the back tie is. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Yeah, but it was, at the end, you know what I mean, it was something to laugh at for sure. But yeah, I was after, when you come home after a race, man, it's it ain't nothing but the road and them headlights. Ain't no music. Don't want to talk.
See, I'm glad you said this. Cause I'm real passionate about what I'm about to say to you.
Talk to me.
And I come from street racing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know my background, but I come from street racing and I come from grudge racing. I obviously started young like you too, but like now how do you balance that? Because I like grudge racing. Don't get me wrong. I love no time racing. But I sit down and when I'm filming and I'm not in the driver's seat and I'm recording, I sit down and I people watch. And I know you done heard, you probably yourself have said, I had a great time at the track.
Boy, ain't no fun in losing, boy.
That's what I'm saying. So
how do you that for you? Ain't no fun.
How do you balance that and when the time calls? At the end of the day, why did you get in the drag race? Is it an outlet? Is it a time where I want to go turn some wrenches? I got a lot on my mind. So how do you balance those scales to where you're not just completely removing all the fun out of it?
Well, when I say it ain't no fun in losing, I mean that's just second nature. You know what I mean? Like, if anybody tell you they had a good time after losing, they ain't talking about the race.
Yeah,
they talking about the experience minus the race.
Yeah, of course. That's of course.
That's it. But
right.
So what's your actual question so I can answer your question?
So my actual question is, how do you balance the fun versus the downs? I guess I say the downside of it.
For one, you got to have a passion for racing itself.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because going in, you got to understand that there's a chance that you're gonna lose, even with the faster car, even with more money. However you want to look at it, it's gonna be a chance that you're gonna lose.
50-50.
It ain't gonna always be sunny. You know what I mean? So going in knowing that I got a chance of losing, and understanding that, you just you separate that from the actual environment, I would say. You know what I mean? Racing environment, the people. Right. And sometimes some people need a little more time than others, you know what I mean? After a loss, so to speak. But the actual just going, man, it ain't nothing like going, for me, it ain't nothing like without a car, with a car, ain't nothing like going to the track and you pulling up and you hearing them do the burnout.
Yeah.
And you smell the race fuel. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just something about that you can't get that nowhere else.
No, you can't. The atmosphere.
I don't care what you say. You can't get that nowhere else doing nothing else. And that's for the people that really have a passion for racing, that really love drag racing. You know what I mean? Or whatever it may be. Bracket racing, drag racing, you know what I mean? Circle track, whatever it may be.
And now let me ask you this while we're on this topic, because I forgot to ask. I asked you about your highest race. What's the lowest you ever done a race for?
Man, I done race for free. For bragging right. I think I love talking trash more than I actually love winning the money.
Most do. They want to
For
admit
real,
it.
for real.
They want to admit it.
I think I love talking trash more than I love winning the money or even racing for that matter. You know what I mean?
I say often, and I done said this before too. Me and Malcolm Stewart actually talked about it. I said, it hurts worse not losing money. It hurts worse just losing.
Right.
You know that,
especially to certain people.
Oh man,
people don't like to say it, but it's certain people that you just be like, man, I can't lose to them.
Yeah,
they ain't got no business beating me.
Yeah,
but,
man.
And when you lose to them, it ain't how much you lost, it's who you lost to. You know what I mean? Like this weekend, I just lost a chain game. It wasn't the money. I lost a chain game.
Yeah,
and I've been. This is something that's been going on over a year where I've been saying, boy, when I get y'all on that black top, boy, I'm a suplex you, boy. I'm gonna do something crazy to you. And that was my intention. that was definitely my. But again, it didn't go as I actually cracked my steering wheel. Jay, I'm gonna see a picture. I cracked my beauty panel on my steering wheel after the race. When I came through, and I realized I couldn't run him back down, and I got out of the gas, I hit the steering wheel. Boom.
Gotcha.
And cracked it. And that's being a sore loser.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
It is.
I was definitely a sore loser because I was like, man, I got him where I want him at. You know what I mean? Everything going the way I want it. I got him locked in for a head-up race. I done already counted. You know how that old people say, don't count your eggs before they hatch?
Oh, yeah.
I done counted this race and the money. And they betted more money than I thought they was going to bet. So I'm like, boy, I got this. I got a race. I got this money. Now I'm finna, and man, they put me on the yo-yo.
So now, do you think you think that would have hurt more or less if you didn't have the money on the line, or you think it would have hurt the same?
Nah, for me it'd have been the same
because of
the money.
Who it was.
So like the money thing for me, a lot of people are ego driven. You know what I mean? A lot of people think with their ego and emotion. And one thing I do know for sure is you can't deny that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could tell me it didn't bother you, but I got your wallet.
Yeah.
That you can't deny.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the reason why. And then also like just from back in the days to now, it's 2025, man. You see what it costs now to put a car together. So just quite naturally, you know what I mean? People gonna wager more. You know what I mean? I know it's a catch-22. You know what I mean? Like,
It is.
It's kind of like if you was a rich man, then it'd be different. You know what I mean? Like in my opinion, like if I was really filthy rich, it didn't matter if I tried to, because for me it's like an investment.
Right.
You know, it's a hobby / investment for me. You know what I mean? This is what I love to do. But me, if I just love to do it, then I'll be okay with just having a 327 and some Camel Hunt heads.
Gotcha.
You know, and double pump a 650 and just kick a tire. But you know, everybody want to compete, especially men. You know what I mean? We want to go fast as we can go, which requires money. The faster you go, the more money you're gonna spend.
Oh yeah.
And not just on parts, for the knowledge to learn what you need. You know what I mean? So I've raced for, like I said, for free. I've raced for 500, 200,
right,
and through the ceiling too. You know what I mean? But with certain, like like I say, like with certain people, you just like chain game. I'm gonna use them specifically. Like I want to get in their pocket.
Yeah, because
you could say, "Oh, it's just a race," but when you say it's just a race, I say, "Yeah, I got your wallet too."
Yeah,
you know what I mean, that's still a little different for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you can't deny that. You can say, "Yeah, it's all good," but when you get that billfold, that changed the game. And also that's also what make it a little bit more tighter. You know what I mean? With people being more emotional, because not just they got their feelings hurt, but they lost their money too. So it just intensified things, and that's the part I like about it. To be honest with you,
right.
I like the fact. Well, I don't like losing, but the fact they got me working. Yeah. They got me trying to figure it out, boy. So I'm like, and they're faster than what I thought they were. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, so it ain't what I think. And to me, that's the beauty in grudge racing over shootouts.
Right.
Because in a shootout, you can kind of get an idea because you running the same cars, you know what I mean? Or you just ran him, you know what I mean? You know, some can sandbag, but with a grudge race, you better be all you can be. Or you better be on point when you trying to dial in, trying to, you know what I mean? Like to me, that's the beauty in grudge racing.
Gotcha.
So I love grudging over shootouts all day. I advocate for grudge racing over shootouts.
Gotcha. So you rather go head up anytime.
One time want to bet on red or bet on black. Yeah, I don't want to hit the jack at all. Let's get it on. One
Yeah, yeah.
time, hey, you either you the man or I'm the man.
Right, right.
That's it. And again, like I said, it's all about preparation. Who knife the sharpest? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the fact that there's no time is still a mystery. You know what I mean? You know, of course they got, you know, new electronics now that kind of get you in the ballpark or get you,
Oh yeah, most
on the
definitely,
money,
most
but
definitely.
you never know. Guess what? They might have was sandbagging. You know, it's a lot. It's so many variables that go into it. That
Well, it's like that drag racing anyway. You know, like back in the day when they had when index racing, which is coming back
right,
now.
right,
But when index racing was going on, like it's a lot of guys, you know, they run 6.0 class, but these cars
for sure.
well beyond
Yeah,
6.0. So you know, it's like it always been that in drag racing and stuff too, to say the least. So now you're in the grudge race. Now you're on the rim side. Now which one do you enjoy the most? The small
small tie
tie.
for sure.
So you just like, hey,
Far,
fast as possible.
the small tie because is now hold on. Cause they always say it ain't the big run guy be like, it ain't like that on small tie side. You know, them small tie guys don't go through what we going
Not
through.
like what?
Just the arguing, the extra stuff that
Yeah.
you know that go in, you know, which it is.
Right.
It ain't it is to me it's just a different pun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is way more small tie cars than it is
Well,
rim guards.
of course, yeah.
So I'm able to go get over here with the small tie guys and actually get me a race a lot easier or a lot sooner than I would be with a rim car.
Like you said, it's a lot of variety. It's a lot of guys on.
So that's the reason
28,
why.
so.
But far as it being any different, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just a different pun, man.
So you feel like this something you just exploring right now, and just this just for the moment.
I think big rim racing can be really big, just like the small tie thing. It could be bigger than what it is.
Right.
But no, I think I enjoy it because it's a challenge. You know, trying to get a car to go super fast on a tie that's an inch and a quarter thick.
sidewall.
You know what I mean? With no sidewall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that I really like that part about it, even though I'm struggling a lot with it. But I like the fact that it's a challenge, trying to figure it out. And even when you got it figured out, you realize you run somebody, they got it figured out a little bit better. So now you know, even I thought I had it figured out, I ain't got it figured out. So it's just a revolving door. So I think that just the fact of in all of them cars, man, a rim and a tie that big, you know what I mean, an inch and a quarter, 2 inches, however, going that fast, that's intriguing.
Yeah, it's impressive too.
Yeah.
You know, to back. Ooh, let me think. Man, probably 15, 17 years ago, you wouldn't have never thought
For sure.
you would even see something.
Yeah.
You know what these guys are achieving and stuff too. And let me ask you that, since you were transitioning out of small tire and going into the wheels, so your first experience when you get out here with guys who have been doing it, was it a shocker to you to like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know the competition they was going this fast?
Well, no, actually, I try to do a little homework first. You know what I
Right.
mean? So when I started seeing, I remember seeing a rim car ran with a small tire car. And I was like, that shouldn't have happened.
Which car was this?
I can't remember. I know I was in Orlando and I was with a dude named Riley.
You was in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna throw somebody out there because this the only guy I could possibly know you probably talking about.
Matter of fact, I
my
can tell
buddy
you,
Ozzy.
that's who it was, Goblin.
So you saw him gobbling. You saw him before it was Roxy Blue.
Yeah. No.
I mean, after.
No, it was
Roxy
Blue first.
He was Blue.
He used to go to Bradenton all the time. He was the first rim car on a set of 22s that used to leave on the bumper.
Exactly.
And I couldn't. I remember Mr. Porter had actually told me about him because we had briefly talked about rim racing a long time ago too. But he told me, he said, "Man, it's a car that go to Bradenton. Man, leave on the bump on a set of 22."
Yep, Ozzy. Shout out to
Funkiest
Ozzy.
thing I ever seen. I ain't never seen nothing like that. And I remember seeing it. But when I remember seeing his car in person, and he ran with a small tire car. The small tire car won, but the fact that boy
he right there.
He made him work.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't scoop or pop.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, boy, these cars fast, you know what I'm saying, on a tie. Like, and that was the beginning of like me doing my homework, and I started following it, seeing people, and I realized like they fast. And I remember telling the guy Riley one time, man, I asked him how fast he thought they were one time. He told me, I said, man, they much faster than that. Like, trust me, it ain't. And what happened was we ended up going, this is another event in Orlando. What's the name of that car? He from Georgia. It's a white Monte Carlo. Anyway, long story short, I won't say it's a white Monte Carlo. They lit the board up by mistake. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
And Riley looked at it. He looked at me. I looked at it. I said, I told you. He said, man, I would have never. He said, man, I would have betted all my money that it would want. I said, man, they rolling, man. And that was 2021.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 2020. That was a while ago.
Now, coming into the rim, like who were some of the ones you was looking at, like for inspiration first, that were doing it and you know?
Cut the Check. I got the Pro Charger from Cut the Check.
Shout out to rest in peace, Johnny, man. Shout out to Hot Rod and all that.
I remember seeing Cut the Check box Chevy for the first time and hearing it, and I was like, I didn't know what a Pro Charger was, but just heard it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he sound like an airplane. I want one of them. Give me one of them airplane engines. And that's when I started doing my homework to figure out what it was.
Right.
So Cut the Check definitely inspired me to actually go Pro Charger specifically.
Gotcha.
Back at home, we didn't have a lot of rim guys outside of the DNL family. Two Fly. Man, I don't know, man. All of them for real. But
yeah.
Nobody specifically outside of Cut the Check because I wanted that Pro Charger sound for sure.
Yeah, they were ahead of the game, man. They were.
Yeah.
Now on the small tire side, who were some of your inspirations? You know,
Trigger Man, man. Everybody love
Shout out
Trigger,
to Big
man.
Trigger, man.
Everybody.
That's my guy. Shout out to Trigger.
Everybody love Jamie, man. I love, Jamie, it ain't because how fast Jamie is. You know what I love the most about Jamie?
What's that?
Him talking.
He a star, man. I told him a while back.
I love to hear him
star.
talk. Man, that's all. Like I just said, I probably like talking trash more than I like racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Trigger, man, Cowboy, them, just hearing them talk, man, that's what do it for me.
Right.
I'm going over there where they talking at. I don't want to hear.
Right.
I like a easy lockout, but I love to hear somebody saying, man, you scared, man. I love to hear that first. Man. Walk him into this, man.
Man.
You know what I mean? I like that part of it.
We talking about them. I got to throw out a legendary talk or two, but back it up. My buddy Blow. CVC,
God
man. Yeah, rest in peace, Blow, man. Cause he put on a show too.
Yeah, I remember Blow too.
Yeah,
for
he's
sure.
another one. But man, so you done did all this amazing things and all that. So like and you definitely you got a powerful testimony and stuff too. And I gotta ask this. What exactly do you feel was your big turning point in life? I mean, what was your huge turning point?
Incarceration, when I got incarcerated.
Well, yeah, I mean, after that, what made you like, was it that phone call?
No, when I got sentenced, I remember hearing my mama cry. I done heard my mama cry a million times. My mama a cry baby.
Yeah.
She's gonna cry all the time. Well, Mom, sorry, but she gonna cry, man.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what happened. If it wasn't no good news, she crying about it.
Right.
But when I got sentenced, the sound I heard, man,
different.
I can't to compare it to something, man. The sound of like a wolf or something like that, man. The hurt, you know what I mean. The how it hit, you know what I mean. And I still hear it right now, like, you know what I mean. Just hearing it, man. That specifically, hearing my mama cry the way she cried when I got sentenced, that I would say that made me want to do better, for sure.
Gotcha. So, man, you done went through all of this, and now you done went through your incarceration. You transition now. Successful in your career. You got your house. You got you on the big rim side making noise now too and stuff. So what's next for you? Like, what's
Redbone getting ready to come back out.
Redbone, okay.
Yeah, so we finna real soon we're gonna start scrambling some eggs on the small tie side. That and I've been stuck between trying to start another car because I'm at that edge of race car and storm.
I was about to, I meant that. Why you right there? It's on my mind. It was on my mind a few minutes back. You said you're on the edge. What's keeping you? Cause I done filmed so many cars over the course of 20 years I've been filming. And I go through my folder and say, I can remember when they drove their car to the track, and now it's so what
Well, I witnessed Redbone, specifically Redbone, went from a street car to a race car. So that went from being able to enjoy every Saturday, Sunday, or whenever day you want to drive the car to it's on a trailer and you got to go get you 5 gallons of race fuel. So that has been my.
That's a struggle.
I ain't no struggle because I ain't gonna do it. I done got to the point, like I said, I done got right there to where if I make any more changes, like trying to go faster, then I'm basically gonna be a race car. So
it pretty much with Storm, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's it. I might make a little power plant change or something like that, but I ain't cutting the car up and I ain't putting no cage.
Well, I'm referring to even the power plant. You know,
yeah, but see, right now I'm struggling with power management.
Yeah.
So just trying to get that Pro Charger to do what I need to do when I want to do it. That's just been a struggle for me. So I was considering going turbo.
Gotcha.
Just because they seem, from what I'm hearing, that they seem to be a lot more easier to manage as far as power wise.
They are. Yeah.
So that'll be if I made a change. But I love the car. Like I say, I built the car for it to be Pro Charge, for it to sound the way it do. So it's kind of like I'm torn between, do I make that change or just leave it like it is because it done did what I wanted it to do.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I don't think I am, but I'm a little impulsive when they talk to me crazy, and then I got to show you. Yeah, so
that's how every guy car go from a street car to a race car. Every guy got the same story, and then you talk to him 5 years later. I done got the same answer with every person. I asked them, do you wish you could go back? They all say yeah.
Yeah, and what's crazy is I've been out even at the track last weekend, man. I had a couple guys say, "Man, I'll trade you my car for your car." You know, that's all. That's more.
Oh yeah,
extreme. You know what I mean?
Everybody, man.
And so I don't think I'm gonna go no further than what I am right now. With that car. It's probably it might go a little faster, but it ain't gonna change as far as the setup of the car. I'm gonna keep it full interior. You know what I mean? I ain't putting no cage in it. I ain't doing none of that. So I might go a couple tenths faster. Maybe that's it.
Right.
That's where it's gonna stop at.
Now what's next? What's your goals in the next 2 to 3 years, man? What you got?
Well, I'm trying to with this car thing. I think I'm gonna try to push it a little harder because I kind of was just playing with this, not really seeing or knowing where it can go. Like I say, the big rim side of things can be really big.
Oh, more definitely.
But of course, you know how that go. Everybody I think a lot of people are more selfish than they are for team. And that's what holding it down. That's the same thing with life itself. But I think I'm gonna make a push. I'm gonna try to make a harder push because, like I said, I was just playing with it at first, and I said this car was like built just for me to enjoy it. Also, you know what I mean. So I'm gonna actually be more purposeful as far as racing, and actually putting more time into the program to try to make it more. You know what I mean. Get more out of it as far as on the race side.
Right.
And but yeah, that's my goal as far as with the race thing, you know what I mean? Just gonna push that a little harder. Life goals, man. To be honest, Jay, I don't even really know what I want to do for real.
Oh, hold on, man. We got man, we got to get that figured out, man.
I don't know what I want to do far as I mean, obviously I'm trying to get to the point where I could spend more time at home because I travel for work.
Gotcha.
I'm always on the road working. So I want to spend more time at home with my daughter. But I don't have nothing that I can actually put my hand on to say this is what I want to do, which is why I'm actually been doing what I've been doing. I know it's kind of been a thing lately that I've been pondering on, like trying to figure it out. But don't really know yet, man, to be honest with you. I don't know where I'm gonna go yet. As long as it's doing the right thing, though, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. So whenever we're gonna let some time go by, when I bring you back, man, I'm gonna ask you the same question. I might start at the beginning. Okay. You gotta have an answer for me, man. You gotta have an answer for me.
I got you.
So well, if they want to find you and something, you got a fan base. You're building a fan base, definitely with your new car. So where can they find you? Like, what's your socials and all that?
I spend more time on Instagram, but Facebook is Joshua Freeny. It might say Twin Tower because that's my partner name. Well, that's our team name.
Gotcha.
Floyd and John Wick. But my Instagram name is Lucky6FN.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the two social medias that I spend the most time on.
Gotcha.
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, so man, I'm gonna put them on the screen. So if anybody want to follow you or reach out or something, then they can do so. So what I like to do at the end of every podcast, man, I like to give thanks to our Father, in heaven. So I like to end in every podcast at the end. I like to do a prayer,
Okay.
So if we would, we're just gonna bow for a second, man. I'm gonna say a prayer and then we're gonna close this thing out.
Let's do it.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today with our heads bowed and our hearts humbled to first give you thanks for all things that you give us. We thank you for life. We thank you for each day that you allow each one of us to see. And Father, I thank you for bringing Josh here on our podcast, and I ask that you rain blessings down upon his life. And Lord, just be his hand of protection through all things. All these blessings I ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So y'all, it's been an amazing interview, amazing testimony. I say some people have stories, some people have testimonies, but this definitely been one to tap into and listen to, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure y'all follow him on his socials, man. Reach out, just send words of encouragement. Just give him some feedback and let him know you enjoyed the interview and all of that. And we finna close this thing out. So this been another amazing episode here on JMalcom TV, and we signing out.